Hey everyone, welcome back to another recap podcast from SNXweave, where we give quick weekly recaps of news and important updates from the previous week from the Spartan Council, core contributors, and Ambassador Council. Let's get started. Elections are here. In case you missed it, nominations open this Friday, August 30th. And if you plan to run for Spartan Council, be sure to get your nomination in as soon as possible to be included in the Spartan Council election panel. The panel will be hosted by SNXweave on Thursday, September 5th in the governance stage. Check out our blog for a link to our Google form where you can suggest questions for us to ask this epic Spartan Council candidates at next week's panel. And speaking of elections, SNX Chain was deployed on mainnet, and CCs are just wiring up the requirements to deploy Governance v3 there to host the upcoming election. SNX Chain is currently undergoing election testing, and Wormhole Guardians are in the process of getting synced up to support the cross-chain messaging features. The CCs are expecting to meet the August 30th deadline for nominations for the upcoming epic. Then, the election results will tabulate and resolve on SNX Chain, which will then send messages back to all of the chains that Synthetix is deployed on to reassign the NFTs. As for the Arbitrum scale-up, multi-collateral perps is on testnet but should be on mainnet this week with 0 caps initially, and UIs to follow. Once integrators are ready, the caps will be raised. And in addition to the default margin, USDX, users will be able to deposit wrapped ETH and TBTC as margin as well. Next, as we mentioned last week, L1 Perps was released to testnet, and the CCs are just finalizing requirements for a mainnet release. The migration from L1 SNX to v3 is also looking good on testnet, and should be enabled for the public this week. The implementation is ready on the technical side, with the last piece being the migration front end. Then, once L1 Perps is ready to begin trading, migrated SNX will begin backing the L1 perp on v3 as well as v2x perps. The L1 perp is just waiting for a UI. It's currently feature complete and the mainnet release is being planned, likely by the end of the month. Lastly, during last week's meeting, there was a question in the chat about why self-liquidations were disabled. It was explained that in the original design, self-liquidation was offered as a feature to give stakers other options to strengthen their C ratio if they were getting close to liquidation, in order to prevent cascading liquidations. It became clear that this option was really only being utilized as a last resort and didn't encourage the proactive debt management that it was originally intended to support, and as a result did not prevent cascading. It was also a critical prerequisite for enabling the migration to v3. For v2x users who self-liquidated, the debt from that transaction would have been socialized among v3 stakers, but the SNX would have only been distributed to stakers on v2 on L1. Disabling self-liquidations allows for the staked asset to be redistributed to the stakers who have assumed additional debt as a result of a liquidation. And that's it for today's updates. Be sure to check out our weekly recap blog post, share this podcast link, and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear more about from SNXweave. Thanks for listening.